What if I told you your entire life could start to change in just 7 days? Not with some loud breakthrough, but with a silent reset. Not by forcing things to happen, but by moving like a ghost through the wreckage of your current reality. Most people try to fix their lives by stacking more. More habits, more goals, more hustle, more advice from people who don't even know they exist. But ninjas operated under a completely different code. They didn't transform through chaos or intensity. They transformed through silence, observation, precision, and mastery of the invisible. And that's exactly what you'll learn in this video. A 7-day tactical system built around ancient ninja wisdom to help you reset everything, not with noise, but with movement so subtle it's almost undetectable. This isn't motivational fluff. This is a system. 7 days, 7 steps, designed to rebuild your life from the inside out. Day 1 is about disappearing, not physically, but mentally, pulling the plug on the constant noise so you can hear your own signal again. Day 2 is reconnaissance, scanning the battlefield of your life to identify what's toxic, what's useless, and what's slowing you down. Day 3 is weapon selection, choosing one goal, one mission, one tool, because the ninja never carried what he didn't need. Days 4 to 6 are infiltration. You take silent, disciplined action without telling anyone. No announcements, no dopamine hits from sharing your plans, just execution. And day 7, you return, not as who you were, but as someone sharper, quieter, and more intentional than ever before. People think change takes years, but that's because they wait for the perfect moment that never comes. The truth is, life doesn't change in a year. It changes in a handful of deeply focused days. The only problem is, most people waste those days scrolling, hoping, or planning someday. But not you, not this week. You're going to vanish with purpose, move in silence, and rebuild your life like a ninja sharpening his blade in the dark. You don't need more time. You need a better system, and it starts right now. Let's begin. The first step is not to act, it's to vanish. Not in the dramatic sense, but in the way ninjas did before any mission. They'd remove themselves from the noise, the crowd, the distractions. They weren't just escaping enemies, they were escaping interference. The modern version of that is simple. You go silent. You stop checking your phone. You stop explaining yourself. You stop listening to content that tells you how to live, and instead, for one day, you listen only to what's left when the noise is gone, yourself. Day 1 is about stillness, not productivity. You deactivate, disconnect, reduce to zero. Not forever, just for long enough to regain signal. Because right now, your mind is jammed with interference, messages, algorithms, opinions, demands. You can't fix a system that's still running in chaos. The ninja understood this. Before any precision strike, they spent hours, sometimes days, just watching, breathing, waiting. You don't need a new routine today. You need space. For the next 24 hours, your only mission is subtraction. Subtract the noise. Subtract the urgency. Subtract the world. This is the disappearance that begins your return. Now that you've vanished, it's time to observe. No action yet, just reconnaissance. Day 2 is about stepping outside of yourself to study your terrain like a ninja on enemy ground. What's draining your energy? What routines are silently sabotaging your progress? What people are anchors disguised as friends? Most people drift through life unaware of how lethal their environment really is. But you, today, become hyper-aware. Ninjas were masters of mapping every detail before they made a single move. They memorized exit points, studied enemy routines, and anticipated obstacles. That's your task today. Audit your life with the same ruthless clarity. Look at your workspace. Is it designed for flow or distraction? Your daily habits. Are they habits or just automated escapes? Your phone. Is it a tool or a trap? Grab a notebook, write it down. List what weakens you. List what strengthens you. The goal isn't to judge, it's to see clearly, because you can't win a war if you don't know what battlefield you're standing on. Awareness precedes control, and control precedes power. Today, you don't attack. You gather intel, quietly, patiently, like a ninja in the shadows. You've vanished. You've observed. Now it's time to arm yourself, but not with 1,000 tools, not with a list of vague goals. Just one mission, one weapon, one target. The ninja didn't enter the battlefield carrying everything. They carried only what they had mastered. Each blade, each tool, each movement had a purpose. No wasted energy, no decoration. This is how you must approach your life today. You don't need more apps, more systems, more information. You need one objective and one daily action that moves you toward it with surgical precision. So, what's the mission? It could be reclaiming your health, launching that side project, breaking a toxic habit, or fixing your finances. Don't choose what sounds exciting. Choose what feels necessary. And once you choose, you eliminate all other options. No multitasking, no switching when it gets hard. The ninja didn't change blades mid-fight, neither do you. Now choose your weapon, that one habit, one system, one routine that directly impacts the mission. If your goal is health, maybe it's 10,000 steps. If it's your side hustle, maybe it's 30 minutes of focused creation. Whatever it is, it must be clear, measurable, and repeatable. Most people fail because they set 12 goals, try 6 systems, and abandon them all by Thursday. You're different now. You move with intent. You don't need a stack of tools. You need mastery over one. Remember, the sharper the blade, the fewer strikes required. So write it down. One mission, one weapon, one move per day. Commit to it like your future depends on it, because it does. The world trains you to spread yourself thin. Ninja logic says, concentrate your force. This is how change begins, not by doing everything, but by doing the one thing that matters. Now comes the hard part, not because it's complicated, but because it's invisible. You've chosen your mission, you've picked your weapon. Now you move, silently, daily, without telling anyone. Most people fail not from lack of effort, but from exposure. They share their plans too early, seek applause too soon, and rely on validation to stay consistent. But ninjas didn't need praise to act. They trained in the shadows. They didn't shout before striking. They didn't pose mid-mission. Their power was built through thousands of unseen repetitions, and when it was time to act, they were already ready. Days 4 through 6 are your infiltration phase. This is where discipline becomes your only ally. It's not about motivation anymore. Motivation is loud. Discipline is quiet. This is where the new you begins to take shape, not on a public stage, but behind closed doors. You repeat your move, over and over, without needing applause, without announcing progress. Each morning, you execute. No negotiation, no excuse. You don't skip because you're tired, bored, or uninspired. You do the thing because the ninja never waited for ideal conditions. They trained for worst-case scenarios. You're training for war, not weather. This is also where your ego starts to panic. It wants recognition. It wants to prove something. But here's the truth. Every time you act without sharing it, you're growing stronger. You're reclaiming control. Because the strongest habits are forged in silence, without witnesses, without approval. And that's the secret. When others are performing, you're preparing. When they talk, you build. When they quit, you repeat. Quietly, relentlessly. Until one day, results speak for you louder than words ever could. You're not just building routines, you're constructing a new identity, the kind that no longer needs to explain itself. That's what silent infiltration creates, not short-term wins, but a long-term weapon. One that moves through life with calm, unshakable intent. So for the next 3 days, your rule is simple. Do, don't tell. Move, don't explain. Progress, don't broadcast. Your actions are your announcements now. Your consistency is your character. You're not trying to impress, you're becoming undeniable. The ninja didn't fight for attention. They moved with precision, did the work, and disappeared again. That's you now. Keep moving, keep cutting, keep going, in silence. You've moved in silence. You've cut distractions, studied your terrain, chosen your mission, and acted with discipline. Now comes day 7, emergence. But not the kind where you brag, not the kind where you post a life update. This isn't a comeback, it's a quiet arrival, a return to the world, sharper, clearer, and more intentional than before. The ninja didn't step into the light until the mission was complete, and even then, their presence was minimal, controlled, precise. That's your energy now. You don't need to prove anything. The changes you've made are felt, not flaunted. Your environment will notice. People will sense it. Your energy speaks before your words do. This day isn't for flexing, it's for clarity. You've proven to yourself that consistency is possible, that focus is a choice, and that change doesn't require dramatic effort, just daily alignment. You're not perfect, you're calibrated, sharper than yesterday, more dangerous than last week. So return to the world, not louder but cleaner. Fewer words, more weight. Fewer actions, more accuracy. You're no longer reacting to life, you're moving through it with intention. 1 week, 1 mission, 1 transformation, and you did it like a ninja. "7 days. That's all it took. Not to perfect your life, but to prove something more powerful, that you can take control. That clarity isn't years away. That change doesn't need noise, it needs direction. You vanished when most people stayed distracted. You observed while others reacted. You chose 1 mission while everyone else chased 10. And then, you moved. Quietly, repeatedly, relentlessly, like a ninja rebuilding himself in the dark. This isn't the end of the process, it's the foundation. You now have a repeatable system, one you can use anytime your life starts to unravel, one that brings you back to center, back to purpose, back to motion. You don't need motivation, you need direction. You don't need approval, you need repetition. You don't need more time, you need fewer distractions. And if this video gave you that clarity, even just a piece of it, make sure to like it. Share it with someone else who needs to disappear and rebuild. And subscribe if you want more content like this, crafted for the warriors moving quietly through a loud world. Because your journey isn't over, it's just getting sharper. Now, get back to work. In silence.